Hi friends, we are in the second class. So we'll be talking about the basics of pollution. So pollution, it's something which is undesirable in nature. For example, let's take that you have a pond of water. The pond of water is a fresh water. Let's say you are using it for regular usage. Okay, but suddenly what is happening? Somebody has mixed some sort of chemicals or some sort of waste in the water. Now, what will happen? The pond water has converted into a wastewater because of the mixture of waste or the mixture of chemicals. So now you cannot use that pond water, right? So now what will happen? This is a change which is not desirable to you. It is an undesirable change. So that is an example of pollution. Since it is happening in water, it is called water pollution. And one more best example is that let's say you are studying for your exams. Now when you study for your exam, your neighbor is keeping his radio or home theater too loud. You are not able to concentrate well, and there is a wide range of noise which is coming from your neighborhood. Now what will happen? This change is undesirable in nature. It is affecting your cognitive abilities to study, and it is also called as a pollution. It is called noise pollution. So pollution means anything which is either physical in nature or chemical in nature or biological in nature, which is creating a change in air, land, water, soil, or the air. The air means the noise. Okay, so all these are considered to be pollution, and the agent which is bringing such pollution is called as pollutants. For example, in the first example I told you that the waste discharge. So the waste discharge is a pollutant. Okay, so it may be a solid waste discharge, a liquid waste discharge also. And similarly, the noise which I told you about, so the noise is also a type of pollutant. Okay, the radio or the home theater, or let's say that we have this campaign vans. Now election is coming up, we have the campaign vans which is running over. So even that is considered to be a source of pollution. So any agent which is bringing that change is called as a pollutant. So pollutant is an agent that is creating the undesirable change, and the result is called as pollution. So this agents, it can be a solid one, liquid, or any gaseous substances which are in greater concentration than what is available. For example, a mild noise is good, but suddenly if you see a greater noise coming up, it will create a pollution. So it is more than what is needed, more than what is happening. Okay, for example, let's say that we have a volcanic eruption. So normally we have carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. Carbon dioxide in the atmosphere at lower level it is good, but let's say when there is a volcanic eruption, it emits large amount of air, it emits large amount of gases, and especially it emits large amount of carbon dioxide. So that becomes undesirable. So in natural it is present, carbon dioxide is present, but a large scale emission of this carbon dioxide will create an undesirable situation to everyone. Okay, not only for human beings but also animals and the plants and other atmospheric, any organisms or species for that matter. So it is present in greater concentration than what is actually needed, right? So that becomes a sort of pollutant here. Now let's talk about the classification of pollution. Okay, so based upon the nature of the pollution, we can divide the pollution into two forms. One is quantitative pollution, other one is qualitative. So the name states it is quantitative. Quantitative means it is already present in the nature, but you are increasing the presence. Either you are increasing due to man-made reaction or due to the natural forces. The example which I gave you, the carbon dioxide, the volcanic eruption is increasing the quantity in a greater level. That is a natural source of quantitative pollution. But let's say that you are burning more amount of wood, or you are burning more amount of other items which will create a carbon dioxide. So that is a man-made type of pollution. So quantitative is something where the pollutant is already present, but it is not very harmful. But due to your activity or the natural's activity, the quantity of that pollution is increasing or the pollutant is increasing, resulted in a type of undesirable change. Okay, the next one is qualitative pollution. So qualitative means it is not present at all. It is not present in the environment, but you are adding. Human beings like you, me, and others, we are adding it. Okay, how we are adding? The best example is the insecticides or pesticides or weedicides which we use for agriculture items. Okay, for example, let's say you use large amount of pesticide for agriculture activities. When there is a rain or when there is a water runoff, the pesticide got mixed in the soil, which will create a soil pollution. It will lose the fertility in the long run. And similarly, let's say the runoff is taking the pesticides towards the nearest stream, the water stream gets polluted, right? So that is an example of qualitative pollutant, which means it is not present but you are adding. So let's take it once again. Depending upon the nature existence, quantitative is something which is already present but you are adding more, or the nature is adding more. Qualitative means it is not present but human beings activities are adding it to the environment. So that is the two things, one is quantitative, other one is qualitative. So coming to the next item, based upon the disposal. So based upon the disposal, we can divide them into two forms. One is biodegradable, which means it can be decomposed in a natural manner. For example, let's say we have the vegetable waste. So vegetable waste is decomposed by microorganic activity, and it can be easily decomposed and it will not create pollution in the further area. Next one is non-biodegradable. So non-biodegradable pollutions are something which is not naturally decomposed, or it may take millions and millions of years to decompose. Best example is the plastics what we have. Similarly, we have the wet wipes, okay, the wet tissues what people use nowadays. Even it takes long number of days to get degraded. So it is also an example of non-biodegradable pollutions. Regarding DTT, we have 3 to 4 questions which are asked in the previous year. So we'll discuss DTT later on. Okay, dichloro, diphenyl, trichloroethylene, we'll discuss it later. Just remember, it is a type of pollution which is existing in large numbers due to the urbanization process, okay, or the modern usage of various items. Okay, coming to the next one, on the basis of persistence. Persistence means how long it is going to be there in the atmosphere. Okay, so first one we have the primary pollutants. Primary pollutants means it is coming from the source itself. So we have the primary pollutants. It means it is coming from the source itself. For example, let's say you are burning something, the smoke comes out. So that is an example of primary pollutant. Now let's say the smoke is available in the nature, or it is persistent in the nature for a very long time. Now what will happen? The smoke the mixes with already weather in the atmosphere, it mixes with the clouds, it mixes with the mist, fog and all, it creates smog. Okay, now when it creates smog, it is called secondary pollution. So secondary pollution is nothing but the reaction between an already existing primary pollution and some other constituencies of environment. I will give you one best example. If you see Delhi during the times of November and December, it is known for its smog and the mist. Okay, it is a very cold winter season, and a fog is being created in Delhi. That's a natural phenomenon, natural environment. Now what is happening? There is a large number of smoke which is generated from wheat paddy fields which are burned down in the Punjab and Haryana region. So once the wheat field is the wheat is harvested, the farmers, they used to burn down the wheat field. Okay, for any remittance are there, it used to burn it down, and it is called as stubble burning. The process is called stubble burning. Now what will happen? The smoke which is coming out of those areas, okay, it got accumulated in the atmosphere. So now when the wind flows from the Arabian Sea towards the land, now the smoke from the Punjab and Haryana is being pushed towards Delhi. Now once the smoke reaches Delhi, it is already persistent in the environment, it is a primary pollutant. Now it mixes with the fog, the winter fog which is in Delhi. So winter fog is an environmental constituent, and the smoke is a primary pollutant. They mix together to create smog. SMOG, smog. Smog is a smoke plus fog. So it is a type of a secondary pollutant which is happening. Okay, so on the basis of persistence, we have this classification. So these are certain classification of pollutants. So depending upon the classification of pollution, if you see, we can divide them into air, land, water, soil. And for our study, we'll also add another one called as radioactive pollution. So we'll be studying about 5 major types of pollution: air, land, water, soil, and the radioactive pollution in the upcoming classes. Now, coming to the next major thing, we have 2 more items to discuss. The first one is called bioaccumulation. Now, see the word bio. Bio means any life form. Bio means any life form. The second word is accumulation. Accumulation means You're adding something, together, or you're keeping it something together. Okay, now what this bioaccumulation means, let's say that various pollution which is in the environment or various chemicals which is in the environment, it got accumulated in a bioorganism, it got accumulated into a life form. So if you see this particular figure here or the diagram here, let's say there is a small amount of mercury which is present in water. Now the fish is consuming the water, or the fish is consuming some sort of food from the sea, and as a result the mercury is getting accumulated in the fish's body. Now the consumption is taking again and again. Let's say this consumption is for the first week. Second week also the fish is eating the same item. Now the mercury gets accumulated more. Third week it gets accumulated more. And the fourth week, if you see, more than 75% of the fish body is covered with mercury. Okay, that is because the area where the fish is living is either contaminated with mercury or any other substances which would release mercury. Okay, this is called bioaccumulation. It is nothing but the rate through which any undesirable pollutants or the chemicals gets accumulated into the life form. It may be a fish, it may be a plant, it may be human beings. Okay, so see, this happens because of two things. One is, let's say that we intake food. So when we intake food, obviously when the food can be processed, so after the food is processed, the remains are being left out as excreta, or we call it as catabolism. Okay, catabolism and the metabolical process will result in the taking out the remittance out of the body. Now what is happening? The intake is more, the intake of pollutants is more, whereas the excretion of pollution is less. When the intake is more and the excretion of pollution is less, now what will happen here? It gets accumulated in the body. So this is called bioaccumulation. Okay. Now coming to the next one, biomagnification. See, biomagnification is different from bioaccumulation. Now let's see how it happens. See, biomagnification is also called as bioamplification or biological magnification. It is nothing but the increase of any other type of pollutions from one organism to another due to the food chain. In the last class we studied about food chains. Okay, now let's say that we are talking about the fish here. Let's take the before example, we have this fish, the same fish is here. Now this fish will be eaten by a large fish, and the large fish will be captured and it will be eaten by the humans. Now what will happen? The human being, he will not eat only one fish. He'll be eating 5 to 6 fishes, or let's say in a month he is eating 10 to 12 fishes. Now all the 12 fishes will have some amount of mercury or some amount of pollutants inside its body, inside the tissue. Now what is happening? The pollution is passing from one stage to another through the food chain process. Okay, successively the pollution is getting added in the food chain. Okay, so this is called biomagnification. So biomagnification is nothing but accumulation for each trophic level. Bioaccumulation with each trophic level. Okay, if you see this example, let's take this X. Okay, X has the level of toxins. So algae is having just a percentage or the 2 items of toxins. Now algae is eaten by a zooplankton. Zooplankton has 5 toxins. Now it is eaten by a fish. Fish is having 6 toxins. Now the small fish is eaten by a large fish. It is having further 6 to 7 toxins. And when the large fish is eaten by a human, the human beings accumulate nearly 9 toxins. So successively from 2, the 2 human beings end up eating 9 toxin things. Okay, or the 9% of toxins what we talk about here. So biomagnification is nothing but bioaccumulation of pollutants or any undesirable chemicals which will cause any problems, be it health impact or psychological or ecological impact in any life form. So from one trophic chain to another or from one food chain to another, when it goes on, it is called biomagnification. Okay, so this is for today. In the next video we will talk about the air pollution. Thank you all.